Hey, I'm going to be responding to a video made by Captain Midknight, a YouTuber whose content I thoroughly enjoy. I think he makes great content. They're always really well edited, have high production value, and it's just, I don't know, smooth. I'm a little jealous, if you can't tell. Now, the video I'm going to be responding to is what Disney Plus needs, and he's referring to Wanda and Vision. Now, if you haven't seen the trailer for Wanda and Vision, it's quite amazing. It's shockingly good, but I don't typically judge a movie, TV show, any sort of visual media on the trailer or advertisements because of course they're going to show you the best parts, or maybe they don't even show you the best parts and it ends up being really good. It's hard to judge things based on just a trailer alone. So I'm not going to be actually critiquing his interpretation of WandaVision. He thinks it's going to be very good and I hope so too. I kind of think the same and I'm hoping it is very good. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see now, shall we? Now with the overall video, I agree with. Disney Plus doesn't have a lot of TV shows, doesn't have a lot of movies. Well, they have a lot of movies, but it's just old movies that you're familiar with already. So the only value you have in them is just rewatch value, which if you already grew up with Disney films, you're probably already tired of seeing the same old movie again and again and again, and you're not really going to pay for a Disney Plus subscription because, hey, you probably already have half those movies anyway on VHS. But there's a point that he made that I would actually kind of disagree with. He talks about Marvel films like they're just kind of cheap and one note and not really all that great.
See, I think the biggest potential problems with these MCU shows is that they could come off as overlong and cheaper versions of the MCU movies. That remains my biggest concern with a show like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I'm far less worried about it with WandaVision, because from what we've seen, it just doesn't look like an MCU movie. And even though I like a lot of MCU movies, I think that's a really good thing. If they pull it off, it won't be trapped as the small screen imitation of a big screen formula. It'll break some new ground, something I'm very in favor of the MCU doing.
If they go with the Marvel movie direction, it's just going to be a cheaper, less production value, and people are going to get bored of it because it's going to drag on for quite some time. I do think that is important though. I think a lot of TV shows do drag on for way too long. They have a very interesting premise and they just blow out all the cool stuff in the first season, and after that, it becomes very boring. You don't want to watch anymore because it just starts to stagnate. I agree with that, but the thing I don't agree with is, well, why is it bad if Wanda and Vision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier want to follow a kind of Marvel formula? Because if you haven't noticed, and I'm not talking to Captain Midnight here directly because I'm sure he has noticed, Marvel films are getting progressively good. Very good, actually. I think the shift happened with Doctor Strange. A lot of people say that Marvel kind of started to get more weirder and more creative once Ant-Man came out. I disagree with that tremendously. I don't think Ant-Man is a very original or creative project. Honestly, the only thing unique about that film is the superpower, which is he can turn into an ant, and they don't really go too much into detail with that. I mean, the ending scene is literally just a fight scene with the main bad guy, which every other Marvel film has done. It's nothing new, and plus it's a heist movie, which if you're gonna make a heist movie, you have huge competition, huge. But I think they really started to get creative with Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange was very strange. Thank you. This is why you're subscribed. But after Doctor Strange, they progressively got weirder and more creative. Now I admit there's some outliers, like, I don't know, Civil War. I don't think it was that creative, really. It's a good film, but it just isn't that wacky or weird. I mean, good guys versus good guys. You could kind of see it coming. It's pretty predictable. But Infinity War, Endgame, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, these are all very creative films. These are progressively getting better towards the years. In comparison to like the first year Marvel ever came out, I mean, they had Iron Man, and that was a fucking blast. But they started to stagnate, and they progressively got better over time. And in fact, I'm looking forward to a lot of future Marvel films that are coming out. Black Widow, I think, is going to be a very good one. Is it going to be the most creative ever? Probably not, but I hope they do something relatively new, something that we haven't seen. Not because the main protagonist is Black Widow herself, but I hope they go something more serious, a more darker tone. And not in the darker tone of like, ooh, maybe superheroes can be bad guys, because The Boys did that, and they're currently doing that better than anyone else, really. Sorry, DC. I mean, just look at Black Panther alone. People don't even give it that much praise for its creativeness, but I think it's one of the most creative films that Marvel has produced. It gets criticized for a lot of it bad CGI and overall kind of lack pacing, and I agree with that criticism as well, but give it some credit where credit is due. I mean, if I was a big time producer and you handed me the script to Black Panther and I saw racist black totalitarian dictator takes control of the first modern day highly technologized society by using its own quote unquote perfect system and exploits it to become leader of the new world, I would be like, you are insane, no way anybody's gonna watch this, we're gonna get canceled immediately. But no, in fact, Killmonger is one of the best parts of the film. I feel like he's so good that he kind of overshadows the main protagonist, which is a good thing, I think. I think sometimes villains should be better than the main hero in terms of entertainment value. I don't mean they're in the right, Bomberman. Don't fucking make a video. And because let's be honest, I mean, that story is as old as time, but it's given a new perspective, which I think are kind of the best stories, because even though story is basically any fable or story you can think of, it's probably already been done before. It's just a new culture shift that, you know, that changes every decade or so, which Black Panther did that very well. It's a story as old as time. If a child is rejected by a town, then he's gonna burn that town to the ground to feel its warmth. At least I think that's how the saying goes, but you get what I mean. So to suggest that if Wanda and Vision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier go the more Marvel direction route, that it's gonna stagnate and get old pretty soon, I don't think that's a really fair criticism, because I think, why not go the Marvel route? I think Marvel's doing really great recently. They have a lot of hit or misses, sure, but they're getting, for sure, progressively better. And I do hope Wanda and Vision is creative, but to take that away from Marvel is saying that, oh, it's just a TV show, they got different writers, it's not following the Marvel route, so therefore it's going to be good. I think it's probably going to follow the same route as most Marvel films are today. Do I think that's bad? No, I don't. And I think I kind of made my point exactly. Marvel films are getting better, and they're going to progressively get better, and I'm all for it. I really hope Wanda and Vision is really good. Do I think it's what Disney Plus needs? Yes, and many, many more. I think Mandalorian's a great series, and I hope they can continue to reach that same high expectations that have been built upon on the first season, and I really hope it's really good. But in the context of the pandemic, it was kind of hard to produce those big TV shows that they were promising. So I'm looking forward to whenever they do release. Overall, yep, I think that's about it. Subscribe to Captain Midknight if you haven't already. The guy makes great views, makes great views. He makes great videos. Subscribe to me if you want to hear my weird opinion on any other topics. That'd be nice. And I think that's about it for this video. Captain Midknight, keep up the great work. This is just a slight point I disagreed with, but overall, love the video. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.